Hello, yes?
Hello, it's PC Bailey here from Wimbledon Police Station.
Hello.
Hello, it's just in regards to the call that you've made today.
Yes.
Has anything new happened from yesterday? I can see that officers attended yesterday and we've got 2 crime reports on for it.
So, something happened on the 26th, but I hadn't got round to reporting.
Something happened on the 26th?
Yes.
What was it that happened on the 26th?
But it was a harassment event.
Sorry?
It was a harassment event.
A harassment event?
Yeah.
Okay, but officers attended yesterday, didn't they, and spoke with you?
Yes, but not about that.
What did they speak to you about yesterday?
A different crime, a different incident.
But still linked to the same neighbour?
Yes.
How come you didn't disclose it yesterday?
Because I try to do these things, and they always want to talk about the one thing they've been called out to do and nothing else.
Okay, but from yesterday's incident, I've got 2 crime reports on. One for the ongoing issues with your neighbour, which was covered on the 26th. What was it exactly that happened on the 26th?
There's 2 events that happened on the 26th. There's one when I thought the guy left because he didn't take the parcel.
Okay.
And then the minute I go in the garden, he just comes out and stares at me. And I go back inside again, and he just goes back inside again. It's a continuing course of creepy contact he just keeps doing.
Okay, but just him looking at you wouldn't constitute the offence of harassment?
It wouldn't if that's all he was doing, yes. But it's not just that, it's the way in which he does this routinely every single time I try to go into the garden.
Okay, so he just looks at you?
He scowls at me. Because he's got an antisocial behaviour order and a community protection order. Okay. All of which say make no direct or indirect contact.
Okay. But he's not made contact, by looking at you, he's not making contact with you though, is he?
He's still causing fear and alarm and harassment, so yeah.
By looking at you?
But by knowing the effect it has on me, yes.
Okay.
I'm vulnerable and I'm scared of the guy because he has an air rifle. So,
okay, well we can see that and that's been reported as well, that's on a crime report.
Yeah.
And I can see the ongoing issues have been recorded on a crime report as well. So there's 2 separate crime reports for yesterday.
Yeah.
One in regards to the course of conduct and the behaviour. And one for the shooting of an air rifle out of a boundary.
Yeah.
And also a Merlin was put on as well to cover the vulnerabilities of yourself.
Yeah.
What I'll do, I'll put an update on the non-firearm related Chris in regards to the ongoing issues, just to say that on the 26th he's been looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it from the outside, I can see why you might think this is a bit of a non-issue, but the problem is it's the effect on me and my interpretation of what's going on, what it's doing to me. And what it's doing to me is making me terrified of the guy, of what he might do next. And he just keeps doing things he knows will cause alarm and distress. Okay. And because he knows it causes alarm and distress, he keeps doing it, that makes it a problem.
I appreciate that, but there's, from the 2 reports they're on, there's nothing further I can do than those 2 reports.
Yeah, but I haven't yet reported the one on the 26th when he did this, have I?
On the crime reports, it does detail the ongoing issues between the 2 of you.
Yeah, but
what I'll do is I'll update that crime report to state that on the 26th he's looked at you from while you were in the garden.
Well, but it's specifically, he is not in the garden. I don't believe he's home until I go out in the garden, and then he comes out, stares at me until I go back inside, and then he goes back inside. That is, it's not quite as simple as him just staring at me. It is a...
No, I'll detail it that he comes out in the garden when you go out in the garden, and then when you return in your house, he returns to his house. Yeah. And you believe that this is intimidating behaviour.
Yes.
But in regards to sort of criminal offence-wise, we're not going to be able to charge him of anything.
Yeah. But that in itself, I understand, it's not a crime. But what is a crime is ongoing harassment and intimidation.
which has been reported.
But this specific instance of that ongoing crime, I don't think I have yet reported.
Well, no, but I'll update the crime report that was put on yesterday in regards to the ongoing issues. And just you wish to add that on the 26th, there's been an instance in which he's come out of his garden as soon as you've gone out in the garden, and as soon as you've returned, he's returned. I believe that this is in an attempt to intimidate you.
Yes.
So regardless to your belief on that, we're not going to be able to criminally charge in regard to harassment.
Yeah, I understand that one event is not harassment, but the totality of all of the things he's been doing over the last 17 months, all of it is a continuing campaign of harassment and intimidation of a disabled person.
But what I'm saying is, if this comes to the form of going into court, etc., even if it's ongoing issues, the fact that he's come out into his garden when you've gone out in your garden, they wouldn't look at that as an incident of harassment. I'm not saying the other behaviour isn't.
I realise they wouldn't look at that one incident in itself as harassment at a criminal level.
Yes, but even if that is an ongoing issue, which I'm not saying the other behaviour doesn't constitute harassment, but the fact that he has entered his garden when you've entered your garden, in the hindsight with everything involved, that won't be involved in it. That won't form an offence of harassment in regards to that one incident involved wouldn't sort of come into any form of harassment.
It may not have, given he hasn't done other things.
I appreciate what you're saying in regards to it. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying, because you just end up repeating yourself. I'm saying that the fact that he's come out in his garden, I'm agreeing with you that his other behaviour may have caused harassment, alarm and distress. I'm agreeing with you in that point, but what I'm saying is we wouldn't involve him coming out into his garden as you come out into your garden, and you going back inside and him going back inside. That wouldn't sort of play a part into it. We wouldn't be able to look at that as one of the instances of harassment.
So, we're talking about a guy who has recently broken and entered into my garden.
Yes, which
we're
has been
talking
reported.
About a guy who's got an air rifle who's been shooting my property.
Which has been reported.
Yes, and because of all these instances, I'm terrified of any contact with this person.
Yes.
Now, because of that, it changes the context of it a little bit. Because he doesn't just come out into his garden. He comes out into his garden and...
Those two aspects of it, him firing an air rifle and him breaking into your property, those two, yes, constitute an offence. And yes, more than one form of contact that is unwanted would form harassment. But what I'm trying to explain to you is you going into your garden and him coming into his garden, and you going back into your garden and him coming into his garden, and you going back into your property and him going back into his property, wouldn't join into the offence of harassment.
Okay, I need to give you to my carer to help. I don't come explaining this properly. So what's the problem? It says apparently him coming out of his garden when everyone come out into my garden, he goes back inside to the client. What's so simple?
Sorry, this is Nicholas Hart. I'm his father and carer. Our problem is that essentially he's been stalking Michael for over a year now. So what our continuing issue is, each of the individual incidents by themselves can be regarded as of no great import. It's the totality of it, day in, day out, over a period of now 15 months. It is what the problem is, and I don't understand how we can't get that dealt with when the crime of stalking and harassment allows for that.
To be effective harassment to be complete, it needs to be direct or indirect contact, or more than one occasion, and that being unwanted contact.
So we're talking, which is everything that's been happening for the last 12 months complies with that.
However, if we looked at it, that there was no other instance, and we are just looking at him going into a garden and the neighbour coming out into a garden, every time, for example, over the last 15 months, it's every other day when he goes into his garden and the suspect then comes into his garden and then he goes back inside and the suspect goes back inside, that's not contact, direct or indirect. That's what I'm trying to explain. I'm not saying that the other behaviour doesn't form harassment,
Yeah.
because if it is ongoing behaviour, which is contact direct or indirect, or more than one incident that has gone on, such as him breaking an entering and him firing air rifles, pellets, etc., that would form harassment, because that's contact direct or indirect. But him being in his boundary and him being in his boundary, both going out into the rear gardens at the same time and then returning at the same time, wouldn't constitute the offence of harassment.
Not by itself, I agree, but
Not in any form whatsoever. Not in any form whatsoever would the Crown Prosecution Service look at bearing that into mind into an offence of harassment.
But if, for example, my son wasn't a 42-year-old but a young girl and the same thing was happening.
We're not going to play hypothetical situations, I really do.
I know, but the point is, because he's vulnerable and because he can't see what the guy's doing,
yeah.
He might easily be making contact, threatening him, doing anything.
But
It's really, I know, but that's the point I'm trying to make is what you're describing as non-contact is only because you can see and I can see, but as far as he's concerned, it is contact because he can't see what the guy's doing, but he just knows he's there.
We can't go off what might be happening and can't be seen.
Yeah, but the guy's exploiting it. He's exploiting his vulnerability. He's exploiting his.
But for him to be making contact with someone that would be partially sighted, he would have to know that he was making some form of verbal account or some form of contact, direct or indirect.
Well, I'm not partially sighted. I'm severely sight impaired, and all I can see is blobs and shadows.
Yeah.
And the guy has a history of poking things over the fence,
Okay.
and other such things, and I'm scared and terrified of the guy because he's exploiting the fact that I don't know exactly what he's doing. And as you know, in the movies, it's the monster you can't see, which is far more terrifying than what you can.
Which I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's not an easy thing at all. But what I'm saying is, from him entering his property, he's not made any contact with you, direct or indirect. Him coming into the garden, that's not contact.
All right, can I just ask a question? What we don't have access to is the CPNW that he's subject to, which I thought stopped this kind of behaviour, but we don't know the exact words of it because we've only been told that he's had one.
So that wouldn't constitute any form of antisocial behaviour.
No, I'm not saying by itself it wouldn't, but I'm asking, do you happen to know what's in his CPNW?
I haven't looked at the full community protection notice, no.
Well, could you do that? Yeah, I'm just asking, please. You know, I'm begging you. Please, could you look at it? Because I have a feeling that what the words are in there covers this kind of behaviour.
It wouldn't cover him entering his back garden at the same time that you enter your back garden. That would not be covered.
So in a warning, it wouldn't say, don't do anything that is threatening to your neighbour.
But that's not threatening, him coming into the garden at the same
No, he knows it's threatening. It is threatening. He knows it's threatening. He's doing it deliberately.
That's not threatening. I'm telling you, as a police officer who has knowledge of the legal system,
Yeah.
him entering his garden at the same time you entering your garden does not form or constitute threatening behaviour.
Right.
If that was the only thing, we would agree with you, but there are extenuating circumstances which change the optics.
What I'm saying is, regardless of the circumstances, him entering his garden at the same time you enter your garden would not form any form of contact, direct or indirect, or any form of threatening behaviour.
Right. But can I ask you this question? Do you believe that we, as the people who are the victims, for whom the CPNW is meant to be protecting us,
Yes.
shouldn't we know what's in that? Because if we knew what's in that, we may not be making these phone calls. It's because we don't know what's in it.
My colleague's just doing intelligence checks now to try and so I can read you the wording of the.
That would be great.
Thank you. From being a police officer for 8 years.
No, I understand that bit. I understand everything you're saying. But do you understand? Shouldn't we know what's in that? Because if we knew what's in that, we may not be making these phone calls. It's because we don't know what's in it. That would be great.
Being a police officer for 8 years.
No, I understand that bit. I understand everything you're saying. But do you understand that because we don't know, it's what we don't know that is making life really difficult. And not knowing what's in the CPNW, I don't know whether to ring you or not because I don't know what's in it.
My colleague's just doing some intelligence
Thank you.
now to try try and pull up the full CPNW.
Yeah.
If it's a CPNW that was sort of awarded as you as the victims and in order to protect yourself, I would have thought you should have a copy of the CPNW.
And everyone has told us that, but Robin Young, who's the PC in question, has steadfastly refused to give it to us, and we don't know why.
So you've requested to view or have knowledge of
Yes,
what's in the
exactly,
CPNW,
several times, yeah.
I find that quite confusing. Why they
Yeah, and what's more, the Jack Connell's the guy in question next door. He knows what's in our one, and he knows the precise words of what's in the one he sent.
So you both got community protection.
I know because Robin Young said because I gave him one, I've got to give you one, and he invented something very spurious.
And it was so it hasn't gone through court, and you were just provided this by police officers.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be community protection orders then.
No, I said it's a warning, a CPMW warning.
Just warning.
Yeah, and I don't know what's in it. But we were told if he breaches the warning, a notice will be served. I don't know if he breaches the warning because I don't know what's in it.
Okay, so my colleague's just looking now
Yeah.
to see if we can find that. The fact that it's only a warning, then it wouldn't be so precise. It would say that it would be basically general behaviour that would cause harassment, alarm, distress to even neighbours.
Yeah, which is exactly what he's doing.
But for the fact of him entering his garden as you
No, but if he knows it's causing distress, then he's doing it.
Yeah, but that wouldn't cause any form of.
But you realise my problem here, don't you?
I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit lost.
No, our problem is that what he's doing is actually causing alarm and distress. He knows it's causing alarm and distress.
At the same time you enter your garden.
Yeah, because he knows he's terrified my son. He's terrified my son by physical violence, a threat of physical violence. He's threatened my son by damaging his equipment. He's threatened my son by having kicked off next door by lying to the authorities.
All of these have been reported.
Yeah, I know, but the point I'm trying to make.
Those instances that you're wording to me direct, yes, I'm agreeing with you, would constitute threatening behaviour.
Yeah.
However.
So what would normally be not threatening becomes threatening because of context. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, what I'm saying as well.
The answer to your question is him entering his garden as your son enters his garden does not form threatening behaviour.
Yeah. All right, but if you can let us have the wording of the CPNW, we won't be bothering you on things that we shouldn't be bothering you about.
We're just trying to.
Thank you. Yeah.
How long ago was the warning provided?
1st of June.
1st of June. Okay, well that narrows it down. We're just searching now through our intelligence system and we're trying to pull that up.
Yeah.
And I will give you the wording if we can find it. That's if it's been uploaded onto a intelligence system, whereas if it was just provided and that's how a Chris has been closed, then I'm not going to be able to provide it.
And we've been told he's been given 2 fines for breaching a warning, but we don't know whether it was this one or his previous ASP warning.
So he was given 2. If that's just warnings, you wouldn't be fined.
No, I think they moved. So I think what I'm assuming is they've moved on to an actual CPN notice. I don't. But that's a point. All we've been told.
Community protection notice.
Yeah.
It would have to be served by a court, and you would be provided a copy of
all
that
right.
notice.
Again, we're working on the imperfect information. Robin Young just said he has been fined. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know anything more than what we've been told verbally by Robin Young.
Okay, well, I'm advising whoever, I don't know who Robin...
Sorry, he's the SNT, Cam Hill SNT.
Okay. Just look for that. So he's been given followed by CPW. Yeah, so I can't give you the wording for the CPW at all. I can only see that on a crime report, says that was issued a second warning letter followed by a community protection warning if not compliant. And then we've got the full instance, which that then relates to. Following crime report, progressive investigation is possible. Invited to a meeting. Invited into the police station. The burglary aspect is closed based on no entry or attempted entry of building a part therefore. been provided, your email address should have not been to get hold of the ISP. Did you start on a 10 Sutton Police Station on the 19th of the 5th in regards to providing an ABE statement?
Sorry, are you asking the question?
What's
Yeah,
ABE?
that was a question.
Yeah, no, we went to some police station, yes, and we gave a statement, yeah.
Perfect. So being interviewed, civic blood CMT, they've made a determination to NFA, the public order allegation. The court considered the wording within the sight or hearing of a person. It was held that this requires evidence that there was someone able to hear or see the conduct. The prosecution does not have the court evidence that the words were heard or behaviour seen. It is not sufficient that a person may have happened upon the scene and observed what was occurring, but where there are several people on the scene near enough to hear and so forth. Okay, so the public order, so the burglary aspect has been closed.
Yeah.
With no further action based on no evidence. The public order aspect was closed, NFA based. So there's two offences there, which your wording are offences. However, we found no further action based on the lack of evidence of both of those. So decided that NFA will be taken out from code 10. Formal action against the offender is not in the public interest. So that was. So I can't see any community protection notice actually provided.
But no reference to a warning?
Well, no, because the two incidents that he was interviewed in have been no further action.
No, but we were told categorically he had been given a CPN warning on the 1st of June.
Given a warning and then invited him for the offences based on the fact that that warning was provided. However, both of them incidents have then been no further action.
But do you want, I'm still asking the question, what's in the warning? Because we don't know what to report and what not to report.
What I'm assuming if a warning was provided and then we've interviewed in regards to the 4 incidents that were reported before,
yeah.
4 separate offences, and they've been no further action, we then wouldn't provide a warning. The warning would then come away.
We were told it was a 12-month warning.
It might have been provided as a 12-month warning. This was on. Oh my God. This was on the 28th of the 6th. I'm just trying to find public order offence, which was reported on the 24th of the 6th. When did you say this order was allegedly provided?
1st of June.
1st of June.
Yeah, he came round to our house and said I've given him a CPN warning.
Yeah, PC Young came.
Okay, so if a warning has been provided, I can't, but you have to speak to that officer in the case in order to get
But okay, can I at least quote you as saying that you're surprised we haven't been told the words of the warning so that we know what to report?
Well, yeah, if a warning's been provided against the neighbour and you're the victim and the party involved, it would make sense for you to be informed, yes.
Yeah, we were told by PC Young, I quote, it is for police information only.
And it's madness because now you're on the phone and been on the phone for some time with us. We don't know what we're talking about still because we don't know what's in the warning.
Correct.
And it's wasting everyone's time.
And for the record, I am the victim of these crimes. I feel threatened. I feel under panic and alarm all of the time. I can't believe that will not be taken into consideration by a court of law.
So I can't comment on that. Based on the 4 previous incidents that have been reported and the fact that they have gone through the case management of it, and if anything, they go through it with more of a fine-tooth comb than the Crown Prosecution Service, and they deemed it no further action based on the fact that we have no evidence on the offences that have been alleged.
Yeah, well, I've got an issue with that as well, but it's a separate problem.
Can I just follow that? We were told again that 2 of the cases had gone to the Crown Prosecution.
They went to the case management team and then were reviewed by a supervisor, and there were no further action before the point of CPS.
Yeah. So I mean it's so depressing because what we're told and what really appears to be happening, it always seems to be 2 different things, and it's.
I can only relay the information.
Yeah, I understand you're having to read what's in front of you. So I'm not in any way blaming you. I just feeling so frustrated that Well, so much time is being wasted because we don't know what's going on and we won't be told. And yet, here's my son effectively imprisoned in his own house because nothing is being done.
I can respect that. That's your view. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm only reading what I can.
No, just it is a fact. That's what's happening. My view as to what should be. I agree that the view is as to what is done about it, but it is a fact that is what's happening.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, look. Is there any way that you can encourage Robin Young from the SNT team to actually tell us what's in that warning? Because if we know what's in the warning, we know it's still valid. We know what we should be reporting.
Have you? Yes. I'll drop him an email.
Yeah.
And basically state that you're slightly confused how you have no knowledge of what the wording would be of the DPNW. Yeah. I'll call you back. I can't.
You can't make him do anything. I understand that. It'd be really.
What I can do is email him, because I'll be honest with you, we're probably based at different police stations and I don't know the name.
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised that I don't know his name, so I'm going to make the assumption that he's quite new within the police force.
It's been a year there, I think. But anyway, it's Robin Young of SNT Cannon Hill. Yeah.
Police officer, which I can only base that. Maybe that's why you've not been provided correct information. I used to be part of a safety neighbourhood team. I'm aware of how CPNWs work and when it goes further into an actual community protection notice, etc. The fact that you've not been provided even the generic information of what the warning would consist of, I find quite poor. If I was to provide two parties with a community protection warning, I would advise both parties on what each other have been advised, and I would give you at least the generic, if not the precise information, I would give you the generic information of what would constitute a breach of that warning.
And the reason why we know it's a first, because it sticks in my memory, because shortly after Peter Young left, the perpetrator chased my father down the road, shouting at him, and a passing motorist stopped the car and said, "Are you okay? Do you want me to provide a witness statement?" Because that event itself was intimidation.
Anyway, oh yes, it's all on the reports. Yeah. But look, I don't know if there's any point in continuing the conversation because I realise you can't take it any further. But if you,
what I will do for you, so there's no new instance to report. There was 2 instances that were put yesterday. We're going to put an update on the crime reference.
Thank you.
From yesterday to basically state that on the 26th, this behaviour has happened and you believe this to constitute to the causing you harassment, alarm, distress.
Thank you. That would be great. Yes.
Be updated. We're in the process now of emailing the PC that is handling with this.
Yeah.
To just advise that I suggest that contact should be made and should clear up any form of sort of
uncertainty. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that way, the officer that's dealing with it and is part of the safety neighbour team and has dealt with this case for over a year should sit down and have a conversation with you to answer any questions that you don't know. That's going to be basically what the consistency of that email says.
Fine. And is there any point in putting on another airspace report?
No, there's one already on.
Okay, good.
Update the crime report, which is going to be CC'd in with the crime reference number, so you can view those crime reports.
All right. Okay, I'm just going to hand this back to my son now because I think you can finish off with him now. Okay, thank you.
So I think we've
thanks very much for your help.
Thanks for your help and thanks for your time.
No problem, sir.
So anything else I can help you with? The